Hello and welcome to another episode of the Maxi-Geek Show. Today is Friday, July 15th, and this is episode number 27. It has been a much quieter week this week than we've had in the past few. Even those weeks that we thought would be quiet and turned out to be quite busy, this one is the exact opposite. It's been pretty quiet all week long. The reason for that is we're simply in the July-August lull. So, I mean, obviously there are still big games coming out this month. You know, Nintendo's got a few. Bandai Namco's got one. There's a lot of indie titles releasing as well. But this is sort of the time of year where there's not a whole lot coming out. So there used to be two periods of the year. There's basically the July-August period, and then the mid-December through end of January period where games didn't release. They were always very quiet. The January period has gone, the way of the dodo. It is no longer around, but the July-August period is still there. Mostly that's because the Northern Hemisphere is in summer. So they're enjoying, warmer days, longer, days of sunlight. They're just enjoying, the time away from computers and outside in the sun and everything. So that is literally why this is why it's the case. As I said, there's still some good news, but it's just not like 400 stories like there has been in weeks past. But with that being said, we'll get into it because we are running a little behind schedule today. We're going to get into it with some music. So we're talking about the collaboration between Lace Records and Ubisoft for the Assassin's Creed 15th anniversary celebration. So if you weren't aware, Assassin's Creed first released back in November of 2007 with the one starring Altair. That was set during the invasion of the Middle Kingdom, with the during the Crusades and the quest for the Holy Grail, all that sort of stuff. Then they released Assassin's Creed 2, where they fixed up a lot of the things people didn't like about the first one. And that had the Ezio trilogy, and then it sort of just kept going from there and there. And obviously now we've had Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla. So the celebration of it with Lace Records is a 5-disc compendium. Here you can see, if you're watching the video, you can see the pictures of the collection. This is the special edition one. There's a standard one which is just black discs, but other than that it's pretty much identical. The collection itself, so there's 70 tracks. We've got stuff from Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Origins, which is the one set in Egypt, Valhalla, which is the modern one, then the original Assassin's Creed, the Renaissance disc, which is what they're saying, what we're showing here on the screen. That is the one that focuses on the Ezio games. What they call the Enlightenment, that is Assassin's Creed 3 and Black Flag, which are the ones that are focused on Connor Kenway in colonial America, and Edward Kenway in the Caribbean. And then what they call it the modern era, and I don't know why they call it the modern era, but that's Unity, which is the one that was set in Paris, and Rogue, which is the one where you were the rogue, you were the assassin that decided to become a Templar. And then there's Syndicate, which is the sort of the most, I would say the most modern, but it was the one that definitely had the most concurrent to the current period of time that we're in. The only sort of downside to these is they are expensive. So Lace Records operate 2 websites, one out of the UK, one out of the US. The US will not ship here; they don't do that. If you want them, you have to go through the UK one. And they will ship here, but it's $37.50 in pounds. So if you got the special edition, which is the gold ones, and the shipping, you're looking at $230 for the set, which isn't to say it's not worth it. So you're getting 70 tracks, but 70 tracks for something like this, you really have to be a big fan or a big music lover for it. I personally love the series, but I can't justify that amount of money for what it is. I'm not saying that they're overpriced, what they're selling. I do think it is, for what you're getting, especially with the custom artwork and all that sort of stuff, it is good value. It's just, not something that I can't justify it to myself to spend that much money. So, that's me though. Moving on away from the world of music and into the world of sports, the previously known Skate 4 has a full name and other details. So Skate 4 is now known as Skate, with a period at the end. So the reason why it's not called Skate 4 is because it isn't. It's not a sequel. The folks at EA hosted a thing, like a dev series, the first one overnight, called The Boardroom. Board being, skateboard, not boardroom as in a meeting room. And they were talking about, it's not a reboot, it's not a remake, it's not a port, it's not, an updated version of Skate 3. It's a full new game, but it's going free to play. So whenever this game does release, it will be free to play. The first thing that people are going to think of when they hear EA games and free to play is that it's going to be monetized out the wazoo with loot boxes. The developers did state during the stream that there will be no loot boxes. You will be able to buy items for the game, but they are purely cosmetics. So you'll be able to buy new decks for your board, a new deck, new hats or shoes, shorts, t-shirts, what have you. The list is sort of limitless. The other thing too is that it'll be fully crossplay. So the game itself will let you, skate around on PS4 and your mate who has it on Xbox Series X will be able to join with you. No Switch. Not that we expected it, because it's EA and EA barely support the Switch. But yeah, no Switch version for this game. Which is kind of weird because, there's one exclusive Skate game for Nintendo. It's the Skate It on Wii. I know it's an adaptation of the existing Skate games, but still, so Nintendo fans have that in the history, but that's it. We never got Skate 1, 2, or 3. We just got the Skate It version. But yeah, it is what it is. They didn't release a lot of footage or things, but they do have it here in the big 12-minute long video. One thing that I did appreciate is that they do have plans to bring the series to mobile. So whether or not it's this exact game, or they're going to go down the Apex Legends mobile route, Apex Legends on, say, PC is the full game, everything. Apex Legends Mobile is the full game from like 2 years ago. And I say that in terms of content, it's still there feature-wise, but they haven't just dumped everything on it and said good luck. They're sort of rebuilding everything for mobile to ensure that the mobile experience is the best it can be, and that is what they're sort of doing. That is what I think they're going to be doing here, is that they're going to focus on developing the game itself first for consoles and PC, and then eventually, once that's all sorted, bring it to mobile, sort of start back at phase 1 and go from there. It is very, very cool that it has a proper name, and that is just Skate, period. That it is crossplay supported, which is kind of a given at this day and age that multiplayer games would be. The free-to-play thing is a little weird. I get why they've done it. Like, it makes sense from a business thing, invite more people in. But at the same time, it just doesn't make sense from a business perspective. But hey, they may have, they might be making money hand over fist with Apex and realize they could do the same thing for this. So, who knows what it'll bring for that one. Moving on into, actually, we're sticking within the world of competitive sports, but this time things are getting cuter. So during the week, out of nowhere, Nintendo announced a new Kirby game coming sometime this winter. Kirby's Dream Buffet is a multiplayer-focused title where you and your competitors all become Kirbys who are fat and have to get to the end of a race. That's it. That's the general gist. So I will put on the trailer here so we can watch that while I talk. But basically, what is happening is the full experience, or the full breakdown, is that in order to get to the bottom of the run first, you have to be first. That's pretty straightforward. But being first isn't all you have to do. If you do race, your big thing will be that you have to eat strawberries in order to become bigger. And the bigger you are, the faster you'll move. So if you do make it to the bottom first and you're the heaviest, you'll win. So it very much reminds me of Kirby and the Rainbow Paintbrush, or Kirby Canvas Curse. And you can see some Waddle Dees there. So the goal, as I said, is as you race around, you eat the strawberries that are on the track, and you'll get larger and larger. The bigger you get, the more you can do. As you race around, though, you'll also be able to open up these food boxes, which we see occasionally in the video, which will give you some food-related copy abilities from Kirby. And then, yeah, with those, you'll be able to rush through. You'll be able to send enemies flying and whatnot. There was one. Here we go. See, in this picture, you'll see them here. We don't know when this is coming out. All Nintendo has said is just winter. So technically, it could release tomorrow, or it could release at the end of next month. We don't really know because they're being very coy on it. The other thing too is that it's not free to play. And the only reason we know that is in the Nintendo eShop listing, it does state that Nintendo Switch Online access is required to have access to the multiplayer. Whereas all free-to-play games like Fortnite or some of the Kirby games that are free-to-play do not require Nintendo Switch Online for that. So probably expect this to be around $20, $25. I wouldn't price it too much higher than that. Maybe $30 at an outside price, but anything more than that I don't think is going to be the case, simply because I don't think it's going to be one of those ones where it's going to have a lot of people playing it. You can play it locally, so you can play it with some friends on the couch, and I think that could be fun. The only problem that I have, or the only thing that I sort of worry about this game, is I get a lot of Fall Guys from it, or in this case, Fat Guys. But the problem is how often can you do this before it gets too exhausting, too boring, and that's sort of the worry, is that it's just going to be one of those things where you'll do all the courses and then that'll be it. So it is what it is. Moving on into the world of Stray, we have some more details about the release of that one. So Stray, if you're not aware of it, is a game where you play as a cat. You're not an anthropomorphic cat. You're not doing anything regarding, you're not Puss in Boots style. You're not, some sort of mutated cat person like Tiger Claw from the Turtles. You are just an ordinary feline, an ordinary cat, but the world you live in is one devoid of organic life. So when the robots that live in this world see you, they freak out. That's sort of the gist of what it is about. The game is releasing on Tuesday, I believe it's Tuesday, for PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, and PC via Annapurna Interactive. But the game is getting a physical release here in Australia on September 20th. Things are going to get a little confusing at this point, so bear with me. Here in Australia, if you want the game physically, your only option will be PlayStation 5. That is it. There's no other way to do that. The game will be available digitally on the PlayStation 4 and PC, but there will only be a physical release on PlayStation 5 here. However, Annapurna Interactive and Skybound Games have teamed up with IM8-bit to release the IM8-bit edition of the game, which comes with a matte black sleeve, some postcards, a poster, a felt patch and all that. But it comes with a copy of the game either on PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4 on disc. So if you want the PlayStation 4 edition, you have to get this collector's edition from IM8-bit. So yeah, that's sort of the weird thing. The price of the PS5 disc is $60 here in Australia. The price of the PS4 special edition is $45 US. But that price, once you convert it and add shipping and all that sort of stuff, you're probably looking maybe $110, $120. So, if you really want it on PS4, that's your only option. There's nothing else you can do here in Australia. However, in addition to this version of the game, they're also selling a vinyl soundtrack. So it's a 2-disc print. Comes with a bunch of tracks. It's not the full soundtrack. It's more like a sampler, but it's just on vinyl. The vinyl print will be shipping out in early next year, whereas the retail release will be shipping out later this year. But yeah, Stray's one of those ones where it has people's attention, but it also has people worried because we haven't seen a lot of it, and what we have seen of it seems very generic. So yeah, it could be something, it could be great, could be nothing. Unfortunately, we did request a review code for it, however they were unable to accommodate due to just how many people were after codes, which is fine, that happens all the time. But yeah, so we'll have a review for it, but it'll be later than release date, so it is what it is. Moving on to the world of mobile games, we seem to be talking a lot about mobile games at the moment, but we got information from Ubisoft last week that The Division was heading to mobile, but we also now have gameplay footage to show of it. So The Division Resurgence is a mobile version of The Division. It is not a remake of the original Division or the sequel. It is its own standalone story set in New York. So if you've played The Division 1, you'll be revisiting a lot of locations for this game. And it's not some sort of weird hybrid, top-down tactical shooter. It is a full open-world New York, third-person cover shooter, just like the console version. This was probably one of the things that people were most concerned about, is when they said they were doing this. People were like, okay, how do you do this? Shooters and such you can sort of understand because they're very isolated maps, but this is literally a full thing. So I didn't get into The Division as much as some people did, purely because it's one of those games that requires you to commit, and because of what I do, I don't have a lot of time to commit to every game that requires that. So it's one of the reasons I prefer stories, is because I can get to an end and enjoy it. But yeah, this is a full open world, New York. We don't know the size of it. It may not be the exact same size map as was in the original game. You see a little bit of it here, but it's a mobile game, so there's a whole bunch of weekly and daily activities, check-ins, and all that sort of stuff. We do, however, know that there will be some new character classes. We'll see one here in action just in a moment, where they can basically highlight enemies before they come into combat. You'll see the markers here, so we know where the enemies are because one of the guys in the squad has the ability to see that where enemies are and highlight them. So, and again, you're seeing it in action here. So yeah, it is interesting that they decided to show it off so soon after the game was first announced, and I honestly think that is because the reaction wasn't so strong initially. Not because it sounds like a bad idea. I think it's just one of those things where they were like, people were just done with the whole, hey, we've got this game, we're not going to show you it, but believe us, it's going to be good. And I think that's what sort of worried people, and that's why Ubisoft went around and said, hey, no, here you go, here's some actual footage of it in action. But yeah, I think it looks fine. I'll give it a go, but as with all these sort of games, I don't think I'll be playing it anytime soon. Mostly because I just do not like mobile gaming. The lack of controls just isn't for me. The lack of physical controls, I should say, is not for me. So, yeah, as it looks very cool, but I'll leave it on that one because again, I don't really plan on playing it too much. The developers are accepting registrations for an alpha. As you saw, that was an alpha build there of the game. But they're accepting registrations for it for both iPhone or iOS and Android devices. The access is not guaranteed. Just because you sign up doesn't mean you're going to get in. But if you do register, there's a chance you can get in and play the game early and provide feedback to help make the game better than it may be otherwise. Just the other night too, we also got another release date, seems to be the way that Nintendo do it, for Bayonetta 3. So that is October 28. Bayonetta 3 is probably the longest Nintendo developed title around. Sorry, longest in development game around from Nintendo. To put in perspective, this game we got a teaser trailer for this in December of 2017 at the Game Awards in Los Angeles. We then didn't see the game again until last year, and they said 2022, and then since then it was dead silent again. There was no updates, no nothing. The February Direct came and went, nothing. The not E3 week came and went, nothing. So a lot of people were speculating, hey, maybe this game has been delayed. Maybe they're not doing it again, this year. Maybe it's going to slip to early next year. But no, they announced October 28th. So between the date that we formally got the announcement, which I think was like the 5th of December, to when it was released, will be 4 years and 10 months. 10.5 months, right? Which again puts it up there with one of the longest Nintendo published titles around. Obviously Nintendo aren't developing this; it's being done by Platinum. But yeah, the only other one that sort of matches that is Metroid Prime 4. We got the logo for that, back in 2017, but we haven't seen hide nor hair of it since. The only update we ever got for that was that development was restarting. So yeah, that is what it is there. In terms of Bayonetta 3, it will be just releasing as the standard game, as one is expects from Nintendo. However, there is what they call the Trinity Masquerade Edition, which comes with the game, a few bits and pieces, some alternate cover art, but also a 200-page art book. The problem with the 200-page art book, let me stop that trailer, is that it's a half-size book. So traditionally when we see that we're going to get an art book, it is one of those big, sort of A4 size things. Nintendo don't do that. They do the same sort of width of the page, but it's only like, a third of the height. So it's not a full size art book. So, they're saying it's 200 pages, but it's actually, 200 half pages, so it's 100 pages of art. So it's not as big as they make it out to be. Don't be wrong, the content will still be nice, but it's not exactly, it's a bit misleading because that's what Nintendo do with their art books. The thing that I think is very, very cool is that there will be a release of the Bayonetta 1 will be getting a physical release on September 30, which has never happened on Switch. So prior to this, the only way to have Bayonetta 1 was either to buy it on disc on Wii U in the Twin Pack, or digitally. They didn't do anything before then. It was always just digital, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, or nothing inherently wrong with that, I should say. But it is what it is. The reason why this Trinity edition is a little weird as well is because it comes with, you can see here in the back corner of this picture. I'll make it full screen so you can see it a bit better. You can see these three covers for the game. So there's a red one, a purple one, and a blue one. The reason why that's a little weird is because, so these are alternate editions of the game's cover art. So you'll get one for Bayonetta 3, you'll get one for Bayonetta 1 when that comes out in September, and there's one for Bayonetta 2. When you put them in the cases and you put them all in a line, you'll get a new piece of art. So there's sort of the front sides all line up and make a new piece of, one continuous piece of art. The problem is Bayonetta 2 is out of print. Nintendo have not been making any copies of that for a while, and the only place you can get them is secondhand, and even then, secondhand they're still $60, $70. So they're now selling this collector's edition that comes with slips for a game you get, a game you have to buy separately, and a game that is no longer available to purchase new. If you're someone who has Bayonetta 2 on cartridge, you probably don't care. You're probably like, shut up, this is fine, I'm okay. But for many other people, that's not the case, which is a little weird. So Nintendo themselves were selling the Trinity Masquerade Edition through their store. Their allocation is gone. EB Games are now taking orders for it. This is just the cover art for Bayonetta, the first one, which is it's still funny because Bayonetta is owned by Sega, or Sega, depending on how you want to pronounce it. But after Bayonetta 1 didn't do so well, Nintendo stepped in and said, hey, to Platinum, hey, we'll finance Bayonetta 2. So Sega they own the IP, but Nintendo published and finance the development of the games. So that's why Bayonetta 1 is on Xbox and PlayStation, but 2 and now 3 will be exclusive to Nintendo. But yeah, we did get a bunch of new screenshots as well. There's a couple of new characters and all that around. The problem is if I go to this screenshot, you can see how blurry it is. It's not... So everything for her looks fine. So the effect of her kick looks great. The enemy here is fine, but just this one here, you can see you can see sort of the pixels on him. The enemy in the background's much the same. You see this character looks great. Not a problem with this character. Same with this screenshot. The detail on both Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2 look fine. But again, this one here, there's a lot of blur. Interestingly, it's funny to be on this one. There's a thing here of Bayonetta with her casting her spell. Her hair goes into the spell. There is basically a family-friendly mode for that. They showed it off in Kamiya-san from Platinum Games showed it off, where it basically just equips Bayonetta with a different outfit when you cast the spell, and the hair gets pulled into the weaving of the spell. She'll wear something a little different instead of being essentially naked. I don't see why they had to do that. I'm not jonesing for digital naked girls, but I get why they've done it. But at the same time, it's like, at this point, you're 3 games in and this is the first time you've done it. I don't think you need to worry at this point. But maybe that's not for me to say. Again, because this was the week of release dates, a much highly anticipated game got a release date in Company of Heroes 3. So Company of Heroes 3, we learned about last year. We learned about a month and a half, 2 months before Relic Entertainment they did develop Age of Empires 4 for Microsoft. So while they were in the final stretches of development on that game, they announced their next one. This is the first game for Company Heroes in a number of years. November 17 is the date that this game is going to release on. They did release a trailer for it. I will not play it because it is an absolutely confusing trailer. Not saying it's a bad trailer. It just doesn't seem like it's one of those ones where the people who decided this was going to be a good trailer had any idea what the game was for. So one of the big things for the Company Heroes 3 is that there'll be a series of campaign stories set in North Africa, which is where a lot of stuff happened in both wars. This is sort of feels more like a teaser trailer for a documentary rather than anything else. So it doesn't make sense to me. They did also release a developer diary going into the details that they're going to have for their post-launch plans for the game. Relic Entertainment supported Company Heroes 1, Company Heroes 2. What's the other game that they did? I'm drawing a blank on it, but they did another game as well after Company Heroes 2. I can't think what it is now. But they did whatever that game was. They supported that as well. Age of Empires 4 just got a second season worth of content this week. So they're very, very big on post-launch support, and this is them talking about what they're going to be doing. You can pre-order the game now. There's a digital deluxe edition and a regular edition. If you register for a Company Heroes Relic account, you can also access the alpha and play through some of the game already. We did get a bunch of new screens, showing off some of the game in action. It is very much more Company of Heroes. It could be, something different. In terms of what they're offering in terms of story and all that, but the core gameplay is going to be much the same. And then of course here's some video about the alpha version of the game that people can get. It is cool that they're doing it. It is interesting that they've essentially been talking about the game pretty consistently since they announced it. And they're always like, oh, it's going to come out, in 2022. It's going to come out in 2022. But they kept talking about everything except the release date. And then out of nowhere, they just sort of dropped the release date. So, yeah. It does look, again, Company Heroes, it's one of those game genres. It's not my thing, sort of, the tactical RTS. But I do enjoy playing it when, I get a chance to jump in every now and again. And it's fun. I wouldn't sit down for 4 or 5 hours and play it, but a mission or two here or there is definitely sort of my speed. Speaking of speed, Tribes of Midgard is speeding onto more platforms in August. So Tribes of Midgard released last year for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and PC. And one of the things that the developers got pretty much straight away was, why no Xbox? Why no Switch? And it turns out they had the plans, they just needed the time. And so when the third season of content for Tribes of Midgard kicks off, it will come to Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and Switch. So August 16 is the date in question, and the Tribes of Midgard Season 3 will launch the same day. So if you're on PlayStation 4, 5, or PC, and you've been playing the game since then, that is the date that the new season of content begins. There's there's a new survival mode, there's new crafting stuff, there's all that sort of general update stuff. But if you're on Xbox or Switch and you're coming in fresh, you'll get all 3 seasons worth of content available on the one day. So there is a bunch in here for what is included. I will not talk about it here because I don't want to go into too much technical detail. And I'll throw the story link in the chat there. But so there's fishing, new crafting, new places to go. It's just very cool that this game is finally coming to other platforms. Unsurprisingly, it's not one of those ones where they're like, oh, and it's also coming to Game Pass day one. There's none of that sort of stuff. Many people thought it would, if it ever came to Xbox, it would be a Game Pass title. That's not the case in this instance. As I said, it's been such a quiet week that there's really not a lot of stuff to go through. I honestly thought we wouldn't have a lot to talk about this episode at all, and then PlayStation announced their membership program, rewards program. I'm not sure what you would call it, but they announced that overnight, which sort of saved me a little bit. But that is PlayStation Stars. So PlayStation Stars is interesting in that it is a rewards program that is essentially the same as Nintendo have with their coins. So if you don't know what Nintendo do, Nintendo offer you what they call platinum coins, or silver coins, and gold coins. Silver coins you earn by logging on to the website. Playing select games will earn you some coins. You can earn them now on your Switch by, say, playing, a select NES title if you're a member of there, or participating in the game trials. And you can use those coins to redeem digital goods on your Switch, like icons for your character, for your little profile picture. Or you can use them on their physical reward shop, the Nintendo store, and get, lanyards, water bottles, bags, things like that. The gold coins, however, you earn when you buy things on the Switch. So if you spend $30, you might get 100 coins, for example. Then for every 100 coins you get $1 in essentially an eShop credit. So if you had 1,000 coins, that's $10. So you can use that. It's not a discount. It's literally just like $10 worth of cash. So if there's a game that's on sale, drops down to $5, and you've got 1,000 coins, you can get that game completely for free, and then still have coins left over. PlayStation Stars is very similar to that in terms of what it's offering. So there's 2 parts to it. There's 3 parts, but we'll get into the third part in a moment. The first part is the once you're in, you can earn what do they call it? Points, just loyalty points. These points can be earned by playing any single game in a month. So basically, you're activating your PlayStation account in some way, shape, or form, and that's your way of checking in to say, hey, I'm here. I'm still I'm using my PlayStation hardware. You can take part in tournaments, and if you win the tournaments, you get even more. You can get them for getting trophies. One of the ones they also said is that if you're the first person in a specific time zone, so in your time zone, to get the platinum trophy for a game, that will get you some points as well. So it's very, very interesting stuff there. What is funny about that is, so if you're in California, your time zone is filled with a few million people, whereas if you're in, say, Fiji, your time zone's filled with maybe 500 people. So it's kind of funny they've done it that way. I get why they're doing it that way, but at the same time, it's not really that well thought out. With the so that's one way of earning the the loyalty points, the star points, whatever they call them in the end. And then once you have enough of them, you can redeem them for goods. And the goods that they've said so far are credit for your PlayStation wallet. So, you know, you might end up with a $5 voucher to say take $5 off, you know, Horizon Forbidden West or something. Or it'll be PlayStation Store products. Now, this is the sort of thing is they've announced this program, but they've not given out specifics yet. And this is why I'm sort of confused on it. PlayStation have the PlayStation Store, which you access to buy, you know, FIFA 22 or Red Dead Redemption, whatever game you happen to be enjoying. It's to buy your virtual currency for Grand Theft Auto Online, to buy your V-Bucks for Fortnite. All that's done through the PlayStation Store. However, they also have a PlayStation Store that sells physical goods. It is unfortunately named the PlayStation Store, the same as their digital version of the PlayStation Store. And they've not specified which version of the store you can get. I wouldn't think it would be the digital one, just because it's like they're giving you, you know, credit, you know, a $5 voucher, $10 voucher. You could just use that to get the game anyway. It could be that they're saying, hey, you know, this month you can get access to this game, you know, for 500 star points, right? And that could be what they mean. But they also have a physical store, so it could be, hey, you know, for 2,000 star points, you can get this limited edition T-shirt. They haven't specified, and that's sort of a bit of a red flag. So at this point, it's very much the Nintendo way of you can, you know, as you do things, you'll earn coins. The difference is Nintendo's is split between two. One is that you will earn coins for doing things, and those are purely digital, or you can use them for the physical. The other one is you'll buy games and get the gold coins. You can also, if you're a PlayStation Plus member and you sign up for the Stars program, you can, when you make purchases, you'll get more points, and you can use those to get credit. So it's very much like the gold side of things. So they've kind of taken sort of the, you know, the gold and silver coins from Nintendo and made them into the one thing. That is all very well and good. There's nothing too wrong with that. The problem that I have is in what they call the third sort of thing, and they call them digital collectibles. Now, I've got the statement here on the screen. I'm going to read it here word for word. So, quote, also, as part of PlayStation Stars, we're unveiling a new type of reward called digital collectibles, which are as diverse as our portfolio of products and franchises. They are digital representations of things that PlayStation fans enjoy, including figurines of beloved and iconic characters from games and other forms of entertainment, as well as cherished devices that tap into Sony's history of innovation. There will always be a new collectible to earn, an ultra-rare collectible to strive for, or something surprising to collect just for fun. End quote. That sounds an awful lot like NFTs, especially the ultra-rare collectible. So this is my issue with this. Right, if we leave the NFT argument to the side and just say, okay, it's just digital things, right? So Nintendo on their 3DS had badges. All right, so they had a Nintendo badge arcade that you could go in, you could, you know, pay $1 and get, you know, 5 spins and get badges, and you could decorate your home screen with them. The problem is they've said like figurines and, you know, and other things from Sony's history. It's like, cool, but what am I going to do with a digital figurine? Is it going to live in a digital shelf on my PlayStation home screen? Like, will it sit above all my icons? Like, they've not said anything about what it'll do. How will I view it? Will it be only on my PlayStation 5, or can I view it on the PlayStation mobile app? Can I log into PlayStation.com and see, hey, look at all these digital figurines that I've got? They've not said about anything like that. So they're you know, saying that they're going to offer these digital goods, but there's nothing about how they're going to present them or let people access them or view them. You know, you can sort of see behind me, it's all blurred, but behind me I've got, you know, big shelves full of Assassin's Creed figures and Amiibo and a bunch of other things, you know, Mass Effect helmets and Boba Fett helmets and Cyberpunk statues and all sorts of stuff. And if I want to look at that, I literally just have to, you know, look at the wall and I see it all. I don't want to have to go in on my PlayStation 5, you know, turn it on, turn the TV on, wait for it to get in, go to an app to then go through and try and find the one I want to look at. And even then, I can't do anything with it. I'm just staring at a screen. Whereas these things I can pick up. Not that I use them. I'm not playing like with Transformers on the floor or anything with them, but I could if I wanted to. So that whole digital collectible thing doesn't really make sense to me, because there's no way that I can interact with it. The other problem, and this is where we're bringing the NFT stuff back in, is they're like, oh, these will always be a new collectible to earn, an ultra rare collectible to strive for. It's like, okay, ultra rare doesn't exist in the world of digital goods. You can't have just one or just 10 items of a digital good. It's not possible. You can have 10 codes that redeem 10 physical things, and those physical things are ultra rare, but a digital only item can't be rare based on the fact that it's digital. The ability to copy and paste things has been around since computers started doing things in the 80s. So you can't have a digital only good and expect it to be a single, this is the only one in existence. It's like, no, it's not. Kids, when they're learning to draw, one of the things they'll do is they'll put paper over the coloring book or over a picture, and they'll trace it, right? That is essentially copying, right? Yes, we're not going to get into the whole, they're stealing artwork or whatever. But, that book, let's say that was the last version of that book that was ever printed, it was shipped in from family overseas, right? It's the only one in the country that they're aware of. All of a sudden, there's 2 pictures from that book, right? Because they traced it out, right? They made a copy of it. So physical goods, you can do that, but it takes effort, it takes time. Whereas digital goods, if that was a picture and somebody else said, hey, can I have a copy of that? They go, yeah, sure, here. I attach it to an email, send it through, boom, done. It's now in 2 places. So anything where they try to hype up the exclusivity of a digital only item is utter bullshit, because you cannot have exclusive digital only goods, because the very nature of digital is that it can be duplicated with very minimal effort. Yeah, that is one of those things where I don't appreciate what Sony are doing for that. The rest of it, so if you're playing your games and you're earning points and you can use those points to get a discount on other games, or hey, you unlocked a platinum trophy, here's 500 star points, right? And you go, cool, hey, that'll get me a new theme from a PlayStation 4. Great, love that stuff, happy to support that. Doesn't have an issue with it. But then promoting, saying, hey, you can use these points on a digital only good that you have no way of viewing outside of a dedicated app on your PlayStation 5. Who's that for? And the other thing in the line where they're like, figures of beloved and iconic characters from games and other forms of entertainment. I can't think of anything Sony make in terms. Obviously they have their movies, like Ghostbusters is them sort of thing, but I can't think of any actual other things Sony have character-wise that I'd want on my PlayStation. It'd be like, having your Marvel characters appear inside a Martha Ray cookbook. It doesn't make sense, because there's no direct connection between the two. If there was a Marvel cookbook, sure, that's a connection, but there's not. Well, there's not by Martha Ray, but you get what I'm saying. The earning credits by playing games and earning trophies and taking part in tournaments, fine, not a problem with that. The digital goods, utterly confusing, utter bullshit, shouldn't exist. That's the way that is. There's no way you can make that argument and say it's a good thing when we know it's not. It's just the way it is. Right. In terms of news for the week, that is it. As I said, it's been a very quiet week, purely because of we're in that part of the year where things go quiet. There is other news, like Deerfeld Chronicles got a release date for September. That's coming to all the platforms then. I think it's September 22nd. Let me double check that one. September 22nd, with a demo coming in August. And that's a real-time tactical battle game coming to all the platforms. So, Switch, PS4, PS5, PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S. Hitman 3 is coming. It's getting more content this month, a new location and all that sort of stuff. The Gwent single player thing is out, so there's that as well. I said there's been some news, but not big news. It's all just sort of little bits and pieces here and there. But in terms of what is still to come, in terms of the games coming out next week, I should say, there's been some good ones and there's some big name ones coming and there's some weird sort of ones in there. So bear with me while we go through it because it is a pretty busy week. So we're looking for essentially the 16th of July through to the 22nd of July. But again, no games ever get released on a weekend, so don't worry about that. So the first sort of day that games are coming out is July 19. We'll see the release of As Dusk Falls for both PC and Xbox platforms. That is a Microsoft published game, so that is going into Game Pass day one. I've started playing that one. I should have a review for that by the time the game is available. Also on the 19th, Century Ages of Ashes is coming to PS4 and PS5. That's the third-person arena shooter. It's just another shooter. It is what it is. We will finally see the release of Endling, Extinction is Forever on PS4, Xbox One, PC, and Switch. That is the one where you play as the mama fox trying to get her babies out, through a world that is essentially going through extinction. So, yeah, that is that one. That is the one that will make people cry. Fallen Angel is a role-playing game coming to Switch on the 19th. And then finally, Stray, as we talked about earlier, is coming to PS4, PS5, and PC on the 19th. On the 20th, the day after, we'll finally see Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2 come to all platforms. That is the remastered version of the Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2 game from many, many years ago. PS4 and PS5 players will also get Dread Out 2. That did release today for other platforms. It's just coming to PlayStation consoles a little bit later. And we'll also see Severed Steel coming to PS4 and PS5 as well. The 21st of July is the big one. So Bright Memory Infinite will be launching on PS5 and Xbox Series X and S on that day. That is the first-person shooter that was shown off during the Xbox reveal a while ago. This is the one. It's the one that's. They always say it's a one-man person doing it. It's not. It started out as a one-man project. It's evolved since then. But that is the very, very beautiful-looking game. That started out as a one-man project. Danganronpa S Ultimate Summer Camp will be coming to PC, PS4, and mobile devices on the 21st. The bizarre 3D platformer Hellpie will be coming to all platforms as well on the 21st. So that's PC, Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox. We'll also see River City Saga: The Three Kingdoms launching for both PC, Switch, and PS4. That is PS5 compatible, but there's no PS5 version of that game. Severed Steel will also be releasing on the 21st for Switch. So that is out on PS5 on the 20th, 21st for Switch. Wayward Strand was due to release, end of next week, but that game got a last-minute release date delay until September, just to give the team more time to polish up all the bits and pieces that they're focusing on. And then finally, on the 22nd, we will see Capcom Arcade Second Stadium, which is both A stupid name, and B, a bizarre release. It didn't need to be that way. They could have just kept releasing these add-ons to the initial Capcom Arcade Stadium, but hey, I can't help what businesses do. And then Severed Steel will release as well for Xbox platforms. So that game is releasing in a weird way. It is PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 on Wednesday, Switch on Thursday, Xbox on Friday. Don't know why it's that way. It just is that way. And then the big game for the week is Live Alive from Square Enix. So Square Enix are developing it. Nintendo are publishing it everywhere but Japan. It is a Nintendo exclusive, at least at this point. And that is the one that was released back in Japan in like 1993, 1994 for the Super Nintendo. It never got a release outside of Japan. It is one of those rare Square Enix role-playing games. So it's been completely remade in the HD 2D style that Octopath Traveler and Triangle Strategy had, and is now coming to the West. It is the game where you have 8 characters, and you go through 8 different stories across 8 different time periods, and then each time you play through a different character, different time period, you learn more about the overarching story. So that's on the 22nd as well. The week after that is the big one. There's a Digimon game and there's a Xenoblade game, but we'll get into that next week. With that all being said, that does bring us to the end of another episode of the Maxi-Geek Show. We do record these live every Friday at 7 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time. We will also upload these to YouTube as well on the following day. You can, of course, watch them as a replay here on Twitch as well. So twitch.tv /Maxi-Geek with an underscore at the end. We will also be back on Sunday for some more Sunday sessions, where we're going to get into some Fallout 3 this week. And then we'll be back on Tuesday for Games Bond, where we are starting playthrough through the only Xbox game in the list. We're playing through Bloodstone, which was the one by Bizarre Creations, the folks that did Geometry Wars and Project Gotham Racing before Activision shuttered them. But yeah, we'll be back next Friday for another episode of the Maxi-Geek Show. And until then, happy gaming.